Well, Anthony Ennis, thank you for doing this interview today for Star Sports here at your home in South Croydon. Of course, things have changed a lot for you recently with the move from ATR in Milton Keynes to Isleworth for Sky Racing. How's it all going?
Yeah, it's been an exciting changeover period, Julie. Obviously, at the races, I worked there for a number of years. Started off in the London headquarters when it was based there under the umbrella of SIS. We worked in Corsham Street. Studios were there. Obviously, at the races, went on for a good few years. I think did lots of good work. I thought some of the racing coverage was good, and hopefully it brought an element of fun as well, I think, to watching horse racing. I think at the races did that, but obviously covered the action brilliantly, I think. But then obviously it was time for a change, and ended broadcasting on the 31st of December 2018, and then the 1st of January was the first big day, Sky Sports Racing. It was the exciting launch, and I was just glad to be invited to be a part of it. I did a few like trial rehearsal days there in December, and the new facilities just thought, wow, straight away. The studio is magnificent. And the cameras they're using are fantastic. The high definition cameras, not just in the studio, but obviously the race coverage as well, I think is brilliant. And also they've got cameras now. If you watch the race coverage, it's very different. There's cameras. I was commentating at Doncaster. I noticed that there's like a mobile camera they're using to film the coverage of the race, almost like the terrestrial coverage used to be and still is. Whereas the old at the races obviously have the static sort of cameras in the stand. And also, if you watch the Bangor launch as well, on March the 23rd, we had a mobile camera there covering the races, which really gave you an idea of how quick the horses were going down the side of the track before the home turn. I thought some of the race coverage, I think, is really good now. And obviously the super slow-mo as well, a lot of people talk to me about that. Basically, every course now that Sky covers, they've got a camera right across the line for the super slow-mo. And as soon as the race finishes, they follow the horses for a bit, and then we go to the super slow-mo so you can see exactly who's won the race, and it's obviously very helpful in close finishes and things.
So the production's really improved.
It is, yeah, it's very different. Much bigger teams. We have like researchers who do a lot of great work, much bigger team across the board, and yeah, I think a lot goes into it now. And also, I think important, a reporter at every race meeting. So basically, even if Sky Sports Racing have got 5 meetings on a day, then there'll be somebody at every track. If a story breaks, a jockey might ride a certain winner, a jockey might announce a retirement, whatever is happening that day, then there'll be somebody there to get some reaction from that person. And it's good to have a reporter, I think, at every track, every day that Sky have now.
How did your love of racing start? Of course, for you, it's both horses and greyhounds. How did it all begin?
Started at a very young age with my dad and my 3 brothers, who are all older than me. They're all into it a lot. Basically, for my dad, though, he was a massive racing fan. Used to love to have a little bet now and again, and he'd like take me racing, and he was just totally in love with it. My cousin trains in Ireland still, got a few horses, and my uncle was actually he was the groom of Nicholas Silva, the former Grand National winner many years ago, back in the 60s, I think it was. So yeah, a bit of a background there, but mainly from my dad. He used to take me racing to like our local tracks, Kempton's. We used to go to Ascot, we used to go to Windsor, Sandown. I used to sort of badger him to take me after school, and back in the day we used to go racing, and then after college we used to go to the horses. And the greyhounds then, Wembley I think he took me once on a Friday night, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I kind of got the bug after that. I used to ask him to take me on a Friday night, and so my friends were going off to pubs and stuff when they were 18. I was trying to go to Wembley Greyhounds instead, but I loved it. I mean, Wembley, just having that huge stadium, sort of not quite looking quite empty with the greyhound crowd there, but it was still good. I mean, some of the atmospheres there on the Friday nights were brilliant. They used to have the St Leger there, Julie, back in the day. It was magnificent. They used to have the Blue Ribbon there, Trafalgar Cup. So many big races were staged at Wembley. It was such a massive track, and some of the quality of greyhounds you'd see running around there. Obviously, St Leger was massive, and the crowds they used to get on Friday nights were brilliant. Great rapport between the bookmakers and the punters as well. It was like proper days of greyhound racing, and sadly, I don't think those days are ever going to come back, but it's great to reminisce sometimes. It was a great grounding for me, but sadly, obviously, Wembley closed down in terms of being a greyhound venue, and then we kind of used to go to Walthamstow for a bit, which was a bit further out for us, but because we lived in Harrow, but Walthamstow was magnificent as well, and that sort of became my sort of second track after Wembley closed.
Career-wise, it was quite an unusual route into broadcasting for you.
Yeah, I kind of went to college, sixth form, and then I kind of signed up to do a computing science degree at Greenwich, Woolwich campus down in Greenwich. It just seemed that at that time everyone was doing computer science. It was the thing, wasn't it? I thought everybody was doing computer studies, so I thought, yeah, I'll do this. Did it for a couple of months, just didn't really like it, wasn't really going anywhere. And I got a job at the post office for my brother. He got me a job there, just kind of do very. I think I used to open envelopes. I think from post office sub branches around the country and sort out their post, which wasn't very exciting. But then it was just a chance to get some work, and then I got a job at NatWest working for the bank. Started off at Cavendish Square branch, which was really nice in Oxford Circus around there, and then went to work at the Record Centre in King's Cross for a few years. But again, it wasn't really something I wanted to do long term. It was good fun, good social life, met some good people, but wasn't really what I wanted to do. My love of racing was always kind of there. I thought I need to get back into something to do with either horse racing, greyhound racing, or some kind of broadcasting or something like that. And then I got a route eventually through SIS to do that, luckily.
Prior to that, you were a betting shop manager. You worked for Ladbrokes.
Yeah, I did. I left NatWest, I think, in '97 and got a job in Ladbrokes. Started off as just in the shops. In some of the tougher shops, must be said, some of the Wembley areas, which at the time weren't great to work in, I must say. It was actually the shop near the stadium. I remember when a big football match was on there. I remember the FA Cup final. I think it was Chelsea-Middlesbrough. Was my first Saturday there. And just how busy the betting shop was that day, because you had all the football fans coming in to place their bets and stuff, and it was just manic. But it was a good grounding. Learned a lot about the betting industry, about racing. A lot of good people worked there as well. Ladbrokes when I was there, and eventually I got a chance to be a training manager, and then I got to manage my own shop in Kingsbury. Then I moved to the Harrow shop to be deputy manager there, and that was really good. We had some good punters in there. And it was a good grounding, really, to learn about sort of the betting side of the industry.
At that point, did you still want to be a broadcaster? Did you want to?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I remember applying. I actually did apply to Ladbrokes head office to try and get a job in their sort of broadcast team for their shops. That didn't quite happen. And then I thought, right, I'm not going to give up. So I tried SIS were advertising trainee voiceovers. And then I tried there eventually and got in a job that way. But when I first went to SIS, I actually worked in the text room first of all, which was like kind of gathering the information from the people on course, sending the shows to the betting shops. And then I sort of moved in eventually to do some broadcasting for SIS, just for the betting shops, like the Greyhound commentaries and the results and things. And did that for a few years, and then sort of went freelance in 2005 or 2006, I think it was. And At the Races, basically, it just launched, the new At the Races. Just launched, then they said, yeah, they'll give me sort of 10 days a month if I want to do like their presenting just from the little booth in there or the studio. And I thought, yeah, that sounds good. So I started doing that, and then eventually got a job as a commentator on course in about 2008, 2009. But again, I had to do a year's training. I think I only got in at the third time applying to be a commentator on course. First twice I got sort of knocked back. I think I applied in 2006 and sent loads of tapes in, did a trainee day and didn't quite get it. And the same happened again the following year, but I didn't give up. And then sort of 2 years later, I got put on the roster, which was exciting.
Which just shows, for anybody watching this who does want to get into broadcast in any sport, it is really tough, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you will get knockbacks, definitely. I mean, I remember I went to Newbury for a trial day commentating. I thought I did really well. I did the 6 races, put them onto a DVD, sent them off, thought I did really well there. And then I got this feedback from Race Tech saying, yeah, you did this wrong, this wasn't quite, keep working, you're not ready yet, keep working. And so I was like, I was absolutely devastated. And then I tried again the following year and got sort of similar feedback. Thought, right, no, I'm not going to give up. And I gave it another year and went back. Just tried to do something slightly differently. Sort of took on board their feedback, and then I applied. And then I got my trainee position. I did 3 months with other people on course, and everyone was really helpful. I remember going. I did a day with Richard Hoyles at Newbury. Simon Holt was really helpful to me. Took me to Lingfield. John Hunt as well was brilliant. I remember Hunting taking me to went to Lingfield with him, Kempton with him, and he was kind of saying, right, and they would watch you back. So you do a commentary onto a tape in the test box, and they watch it back and say, right, I think you did this differently. I think you did this, and they were kind of giving me all. So I was getting feedback from kind of the top commentators, which was really helpful. And then I got taken on the following year.
Of all the aspects of my job, by far my worst is commentating. I think it's so difficult and a real skill.
You're harsh on yourself there, Julie.
It's the bit that you love, isn't it? You love commentating.
Whenever I come into the RPG TV studios, I look forward to the commentaries, and I think most guests don't really like doing it, but no, I love doing them. I think you can try in greyhound racing especially, you can really sort of portray what's happening to the audience and try and make it sound more exciting. But obviously it's not as easy as greyhound commentaries, I think, sometimes. But I think sometimes the coverage is quite hard to follow, isn't it? You're quite far away from them sometimes. But No, Greyhound racing commentary, I've done a few of them. I used to do quite a few toasters before that sadly closed back in 2018, wasn't it? Yeah. So obviously that was a bit of a loss. But no, I've always liked Greyhound commentating as well. Very different to horse commentary. I think when I first started doing Greyhound commentary at SIS, it was all about the trap numbers because it was just for the betting shops. It was more, we were just told it was fine to say 3 from 5 from 6. But I think gradually, the names are important, and if I do get a chance to commentate on Greyhounds now, I always try and use the names a bit more.
And I know you love horse racing commentary, and I remember you telling me years ago, the skill that you have in looking at a race and assigning the jockey colours to a particular horse and then not needing to look at the race again during the actual race whilst you're commentating. It's quite a skill, isn't it? Yeah,
my memory is probably not quite as good as it was 10 years ago. As you get a bit older, kind of. Well, I used to be able to look at a card for about 5 minutes and just totally get those colours in my mind, and not have to look at my card again, which was brilliant. Probably not as good as I used to be at that, but no, I still like doing it. I think it's important to try and get those colours. I mean, some commentators don't try and do that. Don't try and get them in your head. I think the best thing to do is look at the card, and what I do is I watch the runners going down to the start. I'm making notes of anything it might help you out, like if the horse got a white face or a noseband or something. It might help you out in a close finish, because you never know when that little bit of information might just be what you need to decipher one from the other. Especially in close finishes, especially tracks like Lingfield where I commentate quite a lot. Things can happen very quickly there. The last furlong, it can all change suddenly. You can have horses flying down the outside, etc., and you've got to know which one. Obviously got to get the right one. And but no, what I do is I watch them go down, and then I will have a look at the start. I'll cover up the names on my race card, and I'll try and say that's that one, that's whatever, that's Frankel, and I'll say that's Monsieur, and I'll have it covered so I can see which one is which, and if I don't get it right, then I'll have to try and sort that out before the race starts.
Have you ever wanted to broadcast anything else, or has it always been dogs and horses for you?
I think I've done so much racing ground. I would like to have a go at other things. I've tried a bit of football commentary, just not to the outside world, but I've done a few games just watching at home. Thought I'll try this, write the teams down, turn the sound down, have a go at it. And I think it's very different football commentating though to horse racing and greyhound racing. I think football commentaries, if you listen to them, you don't have to always be at a crescendo, whereas in a horse race, when the high point is going to be the finish. It's going to be the most exciting point. That's going to be the point when your voice is going to be raised. It's going to be the climax of the race, and when that's going to be. Whereas in a football match, you don't know what's going to happen. The most exciting minute could be the first minute, or it could be the 90th minute. You just don't know. But whereas I think it's quite different. But I have tried myself, but not actually had a chance to do that. Yeah, I would like to do football commentary at some stage. I think I'd be good at it. Other sports, I think I tried a bit of tennis commentating once, but only just to friends, and that again is very different. But I think I'd like to have a go sometime at other things, maybe.